Hello, my people. It's your Negro with Aptitude and host of the Blackboard, Mickee Lee. This is the lesson 2 in the series 60 Life Lessons at 60. I started this series on February 1st, I think, February 1st, 2025. My birthday is actually February 2nd, 2025. And today is February 3rd, 2025, and I'm trying to make sure that I continue posting these lessons. Now, it's not my intent to take 2 months to post these lessons. My intent is to pick up the pace and to post about 5 to 6 of them per day so that over the next 10 to 12 days, all of the lessons will be posted. But in the meantime, here's lesson number 2. Lesson number 2 is you can teach an old dog new tricks. I'm going to tell you a very quick story. I got my first pit bull, and no one who knew me would ever thought that I would be with a pit bull. I got my first pit bull, and she's still with me. She's 12 years old now. I got her 8 years ago when she was 4 years old. Got her from the shelter. The shelter told me, oh, she's perfect. And, she doesn't have any issues with other dogs and so forth and so on. Now, there was another dog they had told me about first that I was deeply in. Oh, I'm supposed to look at this camera over here. Okay. That I was deeply interested in because I have a business. And although I didn't need a companion dog, I'd had one for 15 years prior, I felt like, hey, I have an open home, I have enough resources, I'll take in a dog. But for whatever reason, that dog I would have had to wait for a little bit longer, just a little bit, and I would have been able to take that dog home. And that dog had been found wandering around in Oakland, I believe, around the Lake Merritt area. And the dog was fully trained. So whoever it belonged to before had spent a lot of time training the dog, a lot of time socializing the dog, and so forth and so on. But the dog was in foster care and had been in the system for quite a while, but no one had picked that dog up. So anyway, I was getting ready to leave the shelter when, just on a lark, and I have no idea why I did this. It happens from time to time, and I do this. I just asked the worker who had been showing me different dogs for about an hour, "Are you sure there's no other dogs you want me to see?" And as I was saying this pit bull crossed, and she said, "Well, you can take a look at this one." And I'm sure what she was trying to do was just move me along, right? So anyway, I did take a look at that dog, brought that dog home, and that dog was a holy terror. Okay. I want you to know I have never had an experience with a dog like this in my life. And the dog previous to this I had had for 15 years. That dog knew my every thought, my every emotion, my everything. You talk about a devastating loss. When that dog died, devastating. Okay? Worst pain I ever felt. Even more than when one of my parents died. And y'all can, take that however you want to. You don't know the context. You don't know blah, blah, blah. But I will just say this. I believe in giving humans. I was taught to give people their flowers while they are alive, because when they go, they go. Okay? And so they don't know how you react to their passing. And my parent that died, I still have one parent left, I had given all his flowers while he was alive. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Now back to this dog. This damn dog. Okay. And in fact, I am going to write a book about this dog. And it's going to be a training book as well, because I'm in the pet care industry. But anyway, I had never experienced a dog like this in my life. I mean, the moment I got her out of the shelter, took her home, this huge dog, I wasn't used to a dog that size before either. got her home, and immediately tried to take her for a walk, as I had walked so many other dogs in my life. If this dog saw a dog on the moon, this dog was ready to fight. This dog sniffed a dog in China. This dog was ready to fight. Never, ever experienced that in my life. So let's just say I got the dog on a Friday, and on a Monday, I was like, I don't think this dog is what you guys told me this dog was. Okay? And I described the behavior, and then I also said, listen, I'm willing to keep the dog until you find another home. I can just kind of foster. But it was clear the way they worded their communications that if I brought the dog back, the dog would be put down for being aggressive and all of this kind of stuff. So something in me would not allow that to happen. Now remember, they were supposed to be contacting me about this other dog that I had expressed interest in. Long story short, I do go to see the other dog, but I'm not living in a situation where I can have two dogs. I can only have one. So I decide to keep the dog that I had gotten originally from the shelter, even though this dog was a dangerous dog, an untrained dog, and the dog was costing me not only a lot of time, not only a lot of energy, not only a lot of embarrassment, but money because of the nature of my business, and I wasn't able to have other dogs around with this dog. So, long story short, tried all the traditional methods of training this dog, okay? The shelter tells you to go to the local SPCA, and the local SPCA wants you to use treats and talk gentle to the dog and all of this kind of stuff. Now, before I continue, I must, make sure to say that I am not a person. I'm going to try to catch this. Maybe this light is better. Okay. I am not a person that believes in any kind of abuse of animals. I absolutely am not a person that believes in any kind of abuse of animals. I do not believe in neglecting animals. I do not believe in getting a dog, for example, to leave it outside all the time, and especially if it's by itself. I don't understand why you have a dog then. I don't believe in just letting dogs loose and they run through the neighborhood and they, crap everywhere and you think that's okay. I don't believe in not interacting with the dog. Now, should the dog be all over me all the time? No. But a dog is a sentient being. A dog definitely can think about things. They don't have the ability to do evil, like humans do. But they have different personalities, and they definitely can decide to do something or not to do something. They do know your triggers. They do know what works on your nerves, and they can decide to do that or not do that. But that being said, there are training programs out there that prolong problems rather than solve them, and treating behaviors, giving treats and things to behaviors that you don't want is not a good idea. Coddling, just like with a child, coddling and hoping to eventually get the behavior that you want is also not a good idea. So, long story short, here I am with this dog that if I take it back to the shelter, they're likely to put the dog down. The dog is 4 years old. For some people, they would be like, and I was encouraged to just get rid of this dog. Just get rid of the dog. But something in me, kept saying, everyone has had this dog. Whoever has had this dog before, they have not done well by this dog. The dog had a permanent fracture in its leg that had healed improperly, needed a pin in it. I took it to a vet. They're talking about amputation. I sent the footage overseas to on the internet to someone overseas whose shelter I had supported for years, and they and their medical staff looked at it and they were like, we don't need to amputate. We just need to put a pin in it. Okay? So these were examples of people responding harshly to this situation. Then I finally came across someone 2-3 years later. Now I've got this dog, and the dog is 7. This is the point I want to make, okay? Got this dog, and the dog is now 7 years old. The dog is a little bit better, but it's still, highly aggressive towards other dogs. I've had to alter my business plan. I've had to alter family functions because every dog I've ever had before fit right into the rest of the dogs of the family, no problem at all. This time, I had to leave the dog at home and things like that when visiting family or whatever because, of the aggressiveness of the dog. Came across a trainer online, and the trainer basic message was this: that's a dog. Okay? It is not your kid. It's a dog. And while, you shouldn't be beating on a dog, you shouldn't be kicking a dog, you shouldn't be lighting a dog on fire and, putting dogs in dog fights and all this other stuff that humans do, when training a dog, you do need to be clear. Yes is yes and no is no. You don't need to scream it or shout it. It's flat. Yes, no. Yes, no. Okay? There shouldn't be any anger behind it, anything else. It's just a matter of fact. Okay? That unlocked a whole key for me. And what I then did was say, look, dagnabbit, I'm feeding your behind. I'm giving you a place to stay. And you are making my life really a living hell. So guess what? We're going to start all over again. You are going to get on my program. And I don't care if you're old, you're going to learn some new tricks. The dog and I have now been together 8 years. The dog is just over 12 years old. The dog gets along with all kinds of other dogs. The dog I've been able to grow my business. The dog has all kinds of friends, all sizes. Even when I bring over dogs that are kind of timid and maybe yippy and all this kind of stuff, the dog has an even temperament and will not attack another dog, which it did in when I first got it. And the dog can be trusted with other dogs of different sizes, older dogs. When I took in my aunt's dog a year or so ago, and that dog is a Papillon Chihuahua mix. That's 14 years old. It only took a week for me to monitor closely how they were interacting with each other, and it was no problem at all. Now I have 2 old girls around my house all the time. I have pit bull puppies from time to time that are clients that come. And just, like I said, dogs of different ages, different breeds, and so forth. And they come, they have a good time, and this dog is no problem at all. Okay? So you can teach an old dog, you can teach an old dog new tricks. Now, what does this have to do with 60 life lessons at 60? Now, in the first lesson I told you was that 60 means I don't give a damn. So the reason I followed up with you can teach an old dog new tricks is because if you are 60 years old or older, in fact, if you're over 50, and there's a dream that you've been trying to pursue or a skills that you've been trying to acquire, I want you to know that this time in your life and this time in human existence, more than any other time ever in the face of the earth, you can reinvent yourself. I started the business that I have now at 51 or 52 years old. I started it after a layoff. Now, the layoff was expected, so that wasn't, I'm sorry, I'm always having issues with Okay. The layoff was expected, so it was not a surprise. Um, but after 6 months or so of searching for a new job and realizing that if I was employed by somebody else, I would have to, play by their rules. I would have to not speak out on a number of things that I saw happening, which included, government funds and resources being given to people who are here illegally, which included not giving resources to my people, which is ADOS, even though my people's health issue, was the main reason why the particular department I was working for got all the funding that they got. So I'm going to repeat that. They didn't get the funding because the health issue was documented for people who were here illegally. They got all the funding because of health issues that were documented for my people, ADOS. But most of the funding was not given to my people. It was given to people who were here illegally and then other groups of people. So I spoke out about that. The people, ADOS people who were there and who were tenured and who would not lose their job for speaking out, they didn't speak out. But it's my nature to speak out. And so I spoke out about it, not only internally, but at various meetings that I went to in the 2.5 years that I was employed there. So I realized that I would not be able to speak out if I was working for someone else, because the right thing to do is to do the job you're being paid for, and keep your personal opinions to yourself, and and basically do that. And I didn't want to be under that situation. So following the death of my other dog, I was looking around for what else I could do in a business that I might start. And I've always been entrepreneurial, but I'd never had a full throttle business. It had always been more like a side hustle. So I'd never had a business where that's where I made my money. Sink or swim, my money came in through a business, right? So I decided at 51, 52 years old that I was going to open this business, and I was going to, see where it took me. And 8 years later, I'm still in business, was still in business during COVID. I never shut down. It was hard to get through that year. It was a lot of nonsense going on, but I did make it through the year thanks to my clients. Also qualifying for, the PPP loans and things like that, and some other things from SBA was be able to do with that. But I've never shut down, so I've been 8 years in continuous operation, 8 years consistently making my living from this business. This year, 2025, is going to be a year of huge growth and expansion. As the young ones say, leveling up, because I have a lot of ground to cover, a lot to make up for that I have not accomplished yet. And as I said in the first video, when you hit 60, you definitely understand that you have far less time ahead of you than you had behind you. So I'm going to delve into the notion of teaching an old dog new tricks a little bit more in this series. But for this initial video, I just want to encourage you that if you're 50 plus, and this is still a time when people think that if you're 50 or older that you must be dead, or close to dying, or your expiration date is coming around shortly, right? I want to encourage you that you can teach an old dog new tricks, but you gotta be a dog that wants to learn, okay? You gotta be a dog that wants to learn. I hope that you find this encouraging, and please share the video, with someone who's an old dog and has been trying to learn new tricks, or an old dog thinking about learning new tricks, or an old dog that simply needs to learn new tricks, you know? And you may have to be the person that says yes, no, and get them, in the right direction. Once again, this is your Negro with Aptitude and host of the Blackboard, Mickee Lee. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.